Disclaimer: this content is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. It was one of those quiet nights. The kind where the world outside fades into a hush, and all that remains is the soft ticking of a clock and the gentle rustle of pages turning. I was curled up on the couch, completely absorbed in the book resting in my lap, the glow of the bedside lamp painting golden patterns on the hardwood floor. Everything felt calm, until I felt his eyes on me. My husband, Alexei, had just stepped out of the shower. His hair was damp, the scent of his favorite aftershave still lingering in the air, mixed with the faintest notes of cedarwood and musk. He didn't say anything at first. He just stood there, shirt half-buttoned, watching me like he was seeing me for the first time again. And then, without a word, he walked over, knelt beside me, and slowly pulled me closer. I looked up, confused but smiling. "What's gotten into you tonight?" I asked. But he didn't answer. He simply brushed a strand of hair behind my ear, his fingers warm against my skin. His eyes held that familiar spark, the one I saw the day we met, the one that still makes my heart skip, no matter how many years have passed. There's something incredibly raw and real about those quiet, unexpected moments in a marriage. The ones where love isn't shouted from rooftops but whispered in glances and soft touches. That night was one of them. There wasn't a storm outside. No drama. No fights. Just a wild, tender pull, the kind that made me feel like time had slowed down, just for us. But what happened next? I wasn't prepared for. Just as I leaned in, thinking he might kiss me, he suddenly froze. His expression changed. Something flickered behind his eyes, a memory, maybe? A thought? I didn't know. He looked at me like he wanted to say something but couldn't. That pause lasted barely a second, but in that moment, everything shifted. And that's when I knew something was different. Something had changed between us, even if I couldn't name it yet. What had started as a romantic evening now hung in the air with a tension I couldn't explain. Was it a secret he hadn't told me? Or was it something I was about to discover? What would you do if your partner suddenly looked at you like a stranger, even in a moment of intimacy? Have you ever felt something change, in a heartbeat, and you didn't know why? Backhand index pointing down, let me know in the comments. Bar chart vote in the poll. Do you believe in silent signals in relationships? Speech balloons, share your experience. I'll be reading every story. Don't miss what happens next. Trust me, this is only the beginning. His eyes lingered on mine for just a second too long, and I felt it again, that strange pause. It wasn't cold, but it wasn't warm either. It was as if he was caught in a memory I couldn't see, somewhere far from our little living room. I held my breath, waiting for him to say something, anything. But he just smiled, like nothing was wrong, and ran his fingers along my wrist. A soft touch, loving, familiar, but distracted. I tried to shake it off. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe he was just tired or thinking about work. But deep down, I knew my husband. I knew the way his shoulders tensed when something was on his mind. The way he avoided eye contact when he wasn't ready to talk. And I saw all of it tonight, even as he pulled me into his arms and rested his chin on my shoulder. We stayed like that for a while, swaying gently to the silent rhythm of the night. But my mind was restless. This wasn't the first time lately that I'd noticed him drifting off like this. Over the past few weeks, there were little things, missed conversations, late returns from the office, a certain distance in his kisses. I didn't want to believe anything was wrong. We had always been strong, best friends before anything else. But something in my heart told me, there was more to this moment than a quiet night and warm embrace. I looked down at the book still lying open beside me. Its pages unread, its story unfinished, Much like us tonight. He tightened his arms around me then, as if sensing my thoughts. I could feel the rise and fall of his breath, steady but deep. And still, he didn't speak. I finally whispered, "Is everything okay?" He paused. Just for a breath. Then nodded. But he didn't say yes. Why couldn't I shake the feeling that something was being left unsaid? Do you believe in intuition? That quiet voice inside that warns you before the truth is ready to show itself? Backhand index pointing down. Drop a comment. Have you ever felt something shift in your relationship before words were spoken? Bar chart poll. Is silence sometimes louder than words in love? Stay tuned, the next moment will change everything. The rest of the evening passed with quiet gestures and half-finished conversations. I made us tea, hoping the warmth would fill the silence between us, but even as we sat close, something remained distant. Alexei kept glancing at his phone, though he didn't check it openly. It stayed screened down on the table, buzzing once, then falling silent. I noticed. I always noticed the little things. We talked about small stuff. A neighbor's new car. A recipe I wanted to try. He listened, nodded, smiled where he should, but his mind wasn't in it. He was somewhere else entirely, and I couldn't reach him. I wanted to believe it was just stress or something he'd get over. But a quiet voice inside me kept whispering, "This is different." Later, as I was folding laundry in the bedroom, I found a movie ticket in his jacket pocket. Not unusual, except the date printed was last Friday. That was the night he said he had to work late. The title was something I knew he wouldn't watch alone. A romantic drama. He always said those bored him. I stood there holding that little slip of paper, staring at it like it might confess the truth all on its own. When he walked in and saw me with it, something flickered in his eyes again. He smiled too quickly. "Oh, that?" I grabbed the wrong jacket that night. Sergey and I stopped by the mall before heading home. He dragged me into that movie to kill time. His tone was casual. A bit too casual. I wanted to believe him, but my heart beat loud in my chest. I asked nothing more. I just nodded. But a storm had started inside me, and I knew it wouldn't settle soon. The next day, I met my friend Lena for coffee. I needed a second pair of eyes, someone who'd listen without judgment. She watched me carefully as I explained everything. Then she asked, "Do you trust him?" It felt like a simple question, but answering it suddenly didn't feel simple at all. Back home, Alexei was already waiting for me, dressed up a bit more than usual. He said he wanted to take me out. "We haven't had a night just for us in a while," he said, smiling, his fingers brushing mine. I should have been happy. But my heart hesitated. Was it guilt driving him? Or love? Or both? As we got into the car, he reached for my hand again. His grip was firm, warm, familiar. But that tension hadn't left us. If anything, it was growing. "What do you think Alexei is hiding? Is it just stress and coincidence, or something deeper?" Backhand index pointing down. Comment your thoughts. Would you have confronted him after finding the ticket? Speech balloon. Predict what might happen on this night out. Could it be the moment everything changes? Bar chart vote. Can you truly trust someone if they start keeping little secrets? The story is only heating up. Don't miss what's coming next. The restaurant was beautiful. Soft music played in the background, and the warm lights reflected off the wine glasses, making everything feel romantic, like it was supposed to be a night of healing. Alexei pulled out my chair like he always used to, his smile gentle, eyes searching mine as if trying to read what I wasn't saying out loud. We ordered our favorite dishes, shared polite laughter, and talked about everything but us. Still, The air between us carried something heavier than any words we spoke. I kept wondering, was this dinner an attempt to make up for something? Or was he trying to distract me from what I already suspected? Halfway through dessert, his phone buzzed again. He glanced at it too quickly and turned it face down once more. I noticed the way his jaw tensed for just a second. "It's nothing," he said without me asking. That one sentence, so calm on the surface, said more than he realized. I smiled. Not because I was fine, but because I wasn't ready to explode. Not yet. On the drive home, the silence was deeper. My thoughts kept going back to that ticket. That moment in the bedroom. The movie title. The name Lena accidentally let slip when she mentioned seeing him at the cafe a few days ago, Anna. I hadn't asked who Anna was. I didn't want to seem paranoid. But it haunted me. As we pulled into the driveway, I turned to him. "Do you think we've changed?" I asked quietly. He hesitated. "Everyone changes. But that doesn't mean we've lost anything. Doesn't it?" I whispered. Inside the house, I sat on the edge of the bed while he changed into his t-shirt. I wanted to scream. Ask every question I'd been swallowing. But the words wouldn't come out the way I wanted. Instead, I just said, "If there's something I should know, tell me now." He looked at me, his face unreadable. For a moment, it felt like everything stopped, the clock ticking, the air moving, even my breath. And then, he opened his mouth to speak. But the doorbell rang. Who was at the door? Why now? Why this exact moment? Backhand index pointing down. Drop your guesses in the comments. Who do you think is standing outside? Speech balloon. What would you do if you were in her place? Bar chart vote. Is timing ever truly a coincidence in love stories? The next chapter will leave you breathless. The doorbell echoed again, louder this time. We both stared at the hallway, frozen. Alexei didn't move right away. I stood first, my heart thudding with every step I took toward the door. My mind raced with possibilities, none of them good. Was it Anna? Had she come here? Did she know who I was? Or worse, did she think she had a right to show up? I opened the door slowly, breath caught in my throat. But the face standing outside wasn't what I expected at all. It was Lena. She looked flushed, her eyes wide, breath short like she'd rushed over. I didn't know where else to go, she said quickly. "Can I come in?" I nodded, too stunned to speak. Alexei appeared in the hallway behind me, eyes narrowing for just a second before he masked it with a neutral expression. Lena stepped in and glanced nervously between us. "I know this is the worst time, but something happened. And you need to know before it gets worse." She wasn't looking at Alexei, she was looking at me. "What's going on?" I asked, my voice barely steady. She hesitated, then pulled her phone from her bag and tapped a few times. I wasn't sure at first. I didn't want to get involved. But then this came in my inbox this morning. From a private number. She turned the screen toward me. At first, it looked like a blurred photo. But as I leaned in, the image sharpened. It was Alexei. Sitting at a cafe. Across from a woman. Not Anna. Someone else. A woman I didn't recognize at all. They weren't touching, but the way they leaned in, the way he was smiling, it wasn't just a business meeting. It wasn't just coffee. I felt something tighten in my chest, sharp and cold. Alexei stepped forward. "This is ridiculous," he said. "Anyone could have sent that. You can't even see what's really happening in that photo." But it was him. I knew that face better than anyone. Lena kept her gaze on me. I wasn't going to say anything. But I think this woman, she's not just someone he knows. She's someone who's been messaging him on and off for months. I didn't want to believe it either. But there's more. Alexei's voice cut in, hard. Enough. That one word made Lena take a step back. His tone was sharp, not the man who held me close last night. Not the man who took me to dinner hours ago. Is it true? I asked, turning to him, my voice breaking. Are you hiding more than one thing from me? He didn't answer. He just looked at me, jaw tight, hands clenched at his sides. I took a step back. The silence was deafening. What would you do if the person you loved most stood silent in the face of truth? Backhand index pointing down comment below. Do you think Lena's telling the full story? Speech balloon. Is this a misunderstanding, or is Alexei living a double life? Bar chart vote. Can love survive betrayal, or does trust break everything? Things are unraveling fast, and the next moment could change everything. The room felt like it was closing in. I stood frozen, the image of Alexei with that woman burned into my mind. Lena was still beside me, her phone shaking slightly in her hand, but my focus was locked on him. He didn't move. He didn't even blink. The silence between us stretched into something sharp, almost unbearable. Finally, I said it, you owe me the truth. Right here. Right now. Alexei took a breath, eyes fixed on the floor. She's not what you think, he said slowly. Her name is Kira. She's my cousin. I blinked, stunned. That wasn't what I expected at all. She moved to the city 6 months ago, he continued. She's been in trouble. Financial, emotional. I didn't want to drag you into it because I didn't know how to help her yet. His voice cracked a little. She begged me not to say anything. She didn't want to be seen as a burden. Lena looked just as surprised as I was. Why didn't you just say that from the start? She asked quietly. Alexei sighed. Because it wasn't just her. There's something else. He walked to the bookshelf, pulled out an envelope, and handed it to me. I opened it slowly, hands trembling. Inside were hospital reports. Test results. All in his name. I've been seeing a specialist, he said, voice softer now. I didn't know how to tell you. I thought if I ignored it long enough, maybe it would go away. But it didn't. The stress, the late nights, even the mood swings, it's all connected. I stared at the papers, realization hitting me like a wave. He wasn't pulling away out of guilt or infidelity. He was scared. And he'd been carrying it all alone. I didn't know whether to scream or cry. But before I could react, Lena's phone buzzed again. She looked down, her expression instantly changing. She turned the screen toward me, another message, from the same anonymous number. Only this time, it wasn't a photo. It was a video. And in it, the woman, Kira, was speaking directly to the camera. She doesn't know the whole story, does she? My blood ran cold. Backhand index pointing down. What do you think Kira is about to reveal? Speech balloon. Comment your theories. Is Alexei still hiding something? Bar chart poll. Do secrets protect the ones we love, or destroy them? Everything we thought we knew is about to be questioned. I took the phone from Lena, staring at the screen as Kira's face came into focus. She looked nervous, glancing off camera before finally speaking. If you're watching this, she said, then I guess Alexei didn't tell you everything. He's been trying to protect me, yes, but also, protect you. Because what I told him last month, about the baby, it changes everything. The breath left my lungs. Kira continued, her voice shaky. It's not what you think. It's not his. I made a mistake. I was scared, broke, and desperate. I told him it was his because I needed help. But he didn't believe me, not fully. Still, he showed up. He paid for my medical visits, kept me from spiraling. And he never once judged me. He only asked that I keep this from you until I was ready to come clean. I'm so sorry. I stood there, stunned. All the doubts, the distance, the silence, it hadn't been betrayal. It had been quiet loyalty. Painful, complicated loyalty. Alexei walked toward me then, slowly, as if unsure I'd still want to hear him. I didn't tell you, he said, because I didn't want to risk losing you over something I couldn't control. I thought I was protecting you, but maybe I just made you feel alone. My eyes filled with tears. The storm of mistrust, the ache of unspoken words, the fear of being lied to, it had all clouded what mattered most. You should have trusted me with the truth, I whispered. I know, he said. And I'm sorry. We stood in silence for a moment longer before I reached out and took his hand. The weeks that followed weren't perfect. Trust isn't rebuilt overnight. But it did start to rebuild, through small things. Honest conversations. Shared quiet moments. He let me in, fully this time. And I chose to stay. As for Kira, she moved back to her hometown, started fresh, and reached out occasionally. Her message, though difficult, had given us a strange kind of closure. Lena remained my closest friend, and somehow, through everything, our marriage found a new kind of strength, flawed, but deeply real. Because sometimes love doesn't shout its way through problems. Sometimes, it stumbles. It breaks. But if it's true, it learns, it heals, and it holds on. Backhand index pointing down. How did this ending make you feel? Would you have stayed after everything? Speech balloon. Comment your thoughts below and tell me if you'd like to see a sequel. Thumbs up like if you believe in second chances. Bell subscribe for more deep, emotional love stories that feel just like real life.